let's look at how you can manage the wizard form screen. For that, we've already prepared this simple wizard macro, and as you can see here, we have these requirements on page 1, these 2 requirements on page 2, and this one on the last page 3. And we can manage the wizard form screen by this infinite loop. Now let's look at this process. So let's run by using F8 key. So the wizard was prepared first. Then we enter the loop, and the very first command here, show wizard, will load the wizard form screen, but we need to go back to the macro screen and keep on running. And when this wizard form will appear again, we can go to the next pages of this screen, and note that only forward and cancel buttons are active here. If we press forward button and the result field of the show wizard command, we can see 1, 2, and it means that we're going from page 1 to page 2. And then the variable red value is analyzed, and we enter the first case 1, 2, and you can put your commands here if you want to analyze some actions while the wizard form goes from page 1 to page 2, and then the loop returns to the first show wizard command, and now we can see the second page of the wizard form screen. And then if we press forward button, this wizard macro will return 2, 3, and the result field. And if here in the select case we had case 2, 3 portion, then process would enter there, but in this case the loop returns to the show wizard command again, and page 3 is displayed, as you can see, and then finish button will return finish in the result field, and case finish will be analyzed, and finally exit do will end this do loop. But in order to see how this macro execution enters the finish or cancel part, we should add the variable as a child record to those portions. And now let's look at how this wizard macro would be executed if we had one more part in this select case 2, 3, wizard actions, and this part wizard actions, as well as end of the loop wizard actions. Let's run by F8 key. And as you can see in this case, when process goes from page 1 to page 2, these commands will be executed. When it goes from page 2 to page 3, these ones, and when it enters and analyzes finish portion, it will exit the loop and keep on running. And we can see also how this wizard macro would be executed if we cancel the macro execution. So let's run again. Let's go from page 1 to page 2. And then let's close this wizard form screen by using close, or cancel button. So in this case, it will enter and analyze cancel portion, and then this halt part will stop macro execution. And we can also arrange the visit form pages in any order. For example, we can skip page 2 and jump from page 1 to page 3. So in this part, when the visit form screen goes from page 1 to page 2, we can tell the visit macro to go from page 1 to page 3. For that, we should specify this visit page parameter, which shows the current page as a variable here, and assign value 3 to this variable. And now if we run by F8 key, we can see page 1. Then this part tells to show page 3, and you can see page 3 here. And sometimes we need to program a macro in such a way that pressing the finish button doesn't close the visit form screen until the user enters a correct value in these visit objects. For example, we can use the following logic when programming the visit macro. If the user puts the value other than 1 in this amount visit object, then let the visit form screen close after pressing a finish button. But if the value of this field is 1, then let's stop macro execution, display a warning message to the user, and do not close. For that, here in the show visit macro, we have parameter close visit after press finish. So we should tell false here in order to leave the visit form screen open. But if we use only this logic and run by F8 key, we will go to the second page, then to the third page, and finally the finish part will end this loop, but the visit form will remain open, and we'll have to close it manually. So in addition to telling false in this parameter, we need to manage the finish portion as well. So here in this finish part, we should put special condition. For that, let's use this statement. As you may remember, in our example, we need to analyze the amount visit object, which is the variable 3 in this case. If here in this field specify amount, the user will put 1, it means if variable 3 is equal to 1, then we need to display a warning message, and we should use interface object message box for that. we can specify message text and this parameter, for example, incorrect amount. We don't need this variable. So if the variable 3 is equal to 1, then let the macro execution display a warning message, but leave wizard form open. Otherwise, if the variable 3 is different from 1, only in this case, let it exit this endless loop. Let's run by F8 key. Let's specify correct value here, 100, which is different from 1. So the macro execution goes to the second, then to the third page, and the finish part will end this loop because the mount wizard object was specified a correct value 100. So the value of the variable 3 isn't equal to 1 in this case, so this else part is executed. But as we can see here, the form screen remained open, and in order to let the macro execution close the form screen, here on the wizard object we have close wizard macro command, and we should add this macro before exit do command. And now let's run by F8 key. Let's specify the correct value here. So we can see the second page, then the third page, and when the macro execution enters the finish part, close wizard command will close the form screen, and exit do will end this loop. And as you can see, the wizard form is no longer here. But if we run again and specify incorrect value here, which is 1 in this case, we will go to the second page, then to the third page, and when the macro execution enters finish part, this condition is met, so we can see the warning message, and then it returns to the form screen. So we can't close the form screen by pressing finish button because we specified incorrect value in that field, and we can use this kind of logic when we need to keep the wizard form screen open until the user enters the correct value there. And we have two more parameters in this wizard macro, minimum size width and minimum size height, and we can use these parameters in order to limit the minimum size of the form screen based on those objects which are on that screen. For example, if we specify 400 and 119 and this parameter, it will be the minimum size of the form screen in this case. But if we tell, for example, 800 and 490 here, this size changes like this.